Here's why BYU is going to steamroll Georgia Tech, and more importantly, Houston will make a mockery of our sport with what they're about to do to LSU. This is a very happy holiday, and this is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. It is finally bowl season. I got a Hatch. It's a $200 alarm clock because beep, beep, beep wasn't good enough. My phone also does this, but apparently this lights up and helps your circadian rhythm, which I think has something to do with a horoscope. It would take 100 Hatches, one for each Georgia Tech football player. And even then, they would still get beat by an innumerable amount of points against BYU because they're just headed in the wrong direction. We'll start there. Then we'll get into Houston and LSU. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. I don't take any joy in saying this, by the way. I think the Georgia Tech coaching staff is full of bang-up, awesome dudes. They have been nothing but great to the Big 12, nothing but great to BYU over the course of the last few weeks. And they're not cowards. They stood up and said, we will fight. Yes, though we may die, we will fight. And this is the part of the show where they die, but admirably. This is the thumb has to go down for BYU. But I like that Georgia Tech did not pull the Notre Dame. They decided we'll actually play the bowl game. Now, here are the reasons the thumb is going to go down. Here are the stats, the facts, the figures that no one else is telling you that just aren't good for our boys GT. Now, we'll start. I think the Georgia Tech offense run by Haynes King is going to be effective because of Haynes King. BYU's defense, led by Isaiah Glasker, led by Jack Kelly, Keanu Tanavasa, got better and better as the season went on as one of the best passing defenses in the country. So if you stop the pass against Georgia Tech, which they're not very good at, by the way, the Georgia Tech passing game is not what their bread and butter is. Haynes King, 2,697 yards passing. His rushing numbers were much better than that. King doesn't love to throw the ball, only 12 touchdown passes on the year as well. Once you shut that down, it's pretty much just stop Haynes King. That's honestly the best news that I can give Georgia Tech is that their pass game is pretty good, but the BYU pass defense is very good. Here's where things get super dour. BYU, the number 19 team defensively in the nation on third and fourth down success. Conversely, Georgia Tech, number 43 on third and fourth down success. There's a 9% gap in where those two teams sit in that BYU has a very clear advantage on what they do defensively on late downs. And then, throw up in my mouth. Here's where things get bad. Really, really bad. Georgia Tech defensively. Number 102 against the pass. Well, they must be good against the rush, right? They're bad against the pass, so they sell out against the rush. Number 107 against the rush. Number 101 in early down efficiency. They're bad on first and second down, but they're even worse on third down. 44.8%, that's the rate that opposing teams will collect third downs against Georgia Tech. That is, what we say in the business, not good. BYU, on the other hand, number 59 passing offense, I should say, in the country, is not spectacular. Number 34 rushing offense isn't elite, and without LJ Martin and Sione Moa, they'll have to make up for it. But that's where we turn this game into a bit of a Bear Bachmeier faces off against Haynes King. And when BYU analytically, when BYU from an efficiency standpoint is just that much better than Georgia Tech at pretty much everything, especially given the fact that Georgia Tech on the offensive side of the ball is decent, but on the defensive side of the ball is putrid, it gives me faith that Bear Bachmeier, the man himself, like almost alone, can man the ship against a Georgia Tech team that is just not in a good spot right now. Listen to these numbers. against Georgia in their final game. They lost 16-9. I won't begin to pretend that BYU is as good as Georgia in college football. They might not be. But Georgia Tech, less than 10 points. What happens when the offense actually does click? Well, that game looks like their game against Pitt at home. They lost 42-28 against a Pittsburgh team that lost to West Virginia. 42-28. The defense fell apart to a Pitt team that got ran off the field by Notre Dame. At Boston College, maybe the worst team in the FBS. Georgia Tech, 36. Boston College, 34. The Jackets almost lost. Now, you get credit for winning. You don't talk about almost losing, but they almost lost. They looked really bad doing it. NC State on the road, a bad NC State team. 48 points surrendered. Guess whose offense is better than NC State's? Guess whose offense is better than Pitt's? Guess whose offense is better than Boston College? Each of those teams scored 34 or more points against Georgia Tech, and the team that is better than those teams offensively is BYU. I like them, man. They're in the same spot as BYU that a few weeks ago they were fully expecting to get into the college football playoff. Their name was on the graphic. Congratulations, you're going. 5, 6 games to go. It was Georgia Tech's conference in the ACC. 2, 3, 4 games to go. It was BYU's conference in the Big 12. BYU lost to the number 4 team in the country. Georgia Tech lost to pretty much anybody they played. There are different trajectories for these two teams, and Georgia Tech toward the end of the year fell apart. BYU is 65.7% chance to win this game. I gave you the analytics. I'll give them to you again. Defensively, Georgia Tech is 102nd against the pass. Parker Kingston, Chase Roberts. Get ready to learn those names. Carson Ryan. They're number 107 against the rush. Number 101 on early downs, number 87 on third down success. And they typically allow their opposing teams to have short third down distances. That is a recipe for a BYU win and a BYU blowout win. Final score, Cougars, Blue Cougars, 38. And remember this last year, I commend Georgia Tech for playing the bowl game. I think most of their players will play. It's a different story for like LSU, and I'll get into that. Everybody played for Colorado last year. BYU just does this in bowl games. They consider bowl games to matter going into next season, and this does. BYU 38, Georgia Tech 17. 38-17. I don't think we're going to see a bowl game, and I think BYU proves, again, they should have been in the college football playoff. Coming up, Houston is going to beat LSU. And it doesn't take a ton to describe why. This is Locked On Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. All of these games during bowl season, all your best bets, all of the lines, spreads, player props, and even NFL Sundays can be played on FanDuel. It makes the action even better. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips over a turnover. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all year long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you with FanDuel. The Houston Cougars, listen when I say this, I'll look at you. The Houston Cougars are going to blow out LSU. LSU has given up on football. They have given up on the football season. Their players said, we're good. We don't want to play for LSU football in 2025 anymore. We're done. Houston, on the other hand, Connor Wegman down, said, we have an opportunity to boost our program, to build on what we are currently working on with Willie Fritz and win 10 games. So we're going to do it. Where the best players on LSU's roster, now don't get me wrong, on a game where LSU plays everybody they had in week 1 and Houston plays everybody they had in week 1, LSU is a better, more talented football team. Worse coaching, no doubt, but at least a more talented football team. What they aren't prepared for is a Houston roster that is undervalued and hungry. And I'll give you the analytics right after I tell you that LSU will be without Garrett Nussmeier, All-American corner Mansour Delane, Whit Weeks, Harold Perkins, Aaron Anderson, the best names on this roster, the best players on this roster said, I'm good. I don't want to do that. Houston, on the other hand, you look at Houston that's weird. Houston's playing this game as if it matters, because it does. You ready for this? About to take you to school. The Houston Cougars, defensively, number 34 in the nation against the pass, number 37 against the rush, number 25 on early downs. They are consistent. They will suffocate you. This is a Houston defense that I do not want to play, even in their lapses, like a game against Arizona where they allowed Arizona's offense to get hot, a very good offensive team in Arizona. Houston still won. They went on the road, beat Arizona State 24-16. Yeah, they allowed 45 points to West Virginia, but immediately cleaned it up and said, you know what? Not again. Won 2 of their last 3, and in the game they lost, they allowed 17 points to TCU. It was the offense that couldn't keep up. The defense was there. After the West Virginia game, they cleaned it. Houston's defense, 34th against the pass, 37th against the rush. LSU, get ready for this. This is bloody. Number 100 against the pass in America. Number 130 against the rush. I'm sorry, running the football. The number 100 throwing the football, number 130 running the football. That is bad. They can't pass. They can't run. They can't offense. That is going to bury them in a game where they already don't have their actual good players offensively, where they're already going out with a skeleton crew against Houston, a defense that is playing. You're taking something that is not good and then taking the best pieces, the best parts of what's already not good, the lone bright spots, and saying, we're subtracting them from the equation. They're not playing in this football game. And this is what I think we can hate about 2025 in college football. And it is teams like LSU, programs like LSU that throw in the flag, but they still want you to look at them and say, oh, the SEC is so big. The SEC is so mighty. They are king of college football. LSU lost to Oklahoma 17-13. That's an Oklahoma team that we found out is pretty fraudulent. LSU beat Western Kentucky 13-10. I was told night games in Death Valley are unsurvivable and that they will maul you, attack you. Things will go awful south for the opposition. 13-10 against Western Kentucky is supposed to scare me if I'm Houston. Beat Arkansas 23-22. Beat Arkansas at home by 1 point. When we talk about the worst teams in the FBS, Arkansas 2-10 might be there. There's a very good chance Arkansas is right there. LSU beat them by 1. On the road against Bama, scored 9 points. At home against Texas A&M, 49-25. In a game that was a game at halftime, they completely fell apart. They gave up. In the Big 12, we don't know what opt-out means. We don't know what give up means. We know what playing college football the way it was meant to be played 10 years ago is. When you say it just means more, it just means more opt-outs. It just means more pouting. It just means more excuses. It just means more coach firings. It just means more of what we hate about what's happening to college football. Yet you want to scream in our faces that you're number one. We're the best. Lane Kiffin walked into LSU, and I think Lane Kiffin will win at LSU. And the last thing he's worried about is the Tigers winning this bowl game. He's posting pictures of a woman's calves, like the back of her leg, at the beach right now. Like he's too busy trolling Twitter to have to worry about LSU winning this bowl game. Why would he care if they won the bowl game? And you could say, and I think there's an excuse or an argument to be made of like, oh, well, of course they'll play hard. They're fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for a spot on the team next year. The bowl game's not going to matter. Lane Kiffin knows what he wants. The other schools that want to recruit LSU players out of the transfer portal, they know what they want. and they're going to get it. The bowl game's not going to change that. This is less of, and I'm telling you, if you're an LSU fan and you want to think with this, oh, well, this guy's telling us that LSU is better than Houston, they're just giving up. Maybe. Like I'm reasonable enough to tell you that LSU at full strength with their 4 and 5 star players, they have more dogs than Houston if you ask 24/7. But does that mean they'd win on the gridiron? Oof. The LSU games that I watched weren't good. Does that mean they'll win this bowl game? Oof. I'm looking at a very thin, flimsy, cardboard cutout of an LSU roster. And I don't think that you can make the excuse anymore of, of course Houston won because it was a cardboard cutout of our roster. Of course, it wasn't even LSU out there. It doesn't even matter. We didn't want to play. We didn't want to do this. We didn't want to be there. Do you understand how that is killing college football and how stupid you sound when those are your excuses? That you think the SEC is the savior of all. But then when the games come around, oh, well, we would win. We would have won. We just didn't want to play. Okay. Cool. I mean, yeah. Tells me the kind of man you are. Tells me the kind of program you are. I don't get it. I'll probably never get it. But whatever helps you sleep at night. Houston's going to win. Houston's going to win by a lot. I'll give you a score prediction right here on Locked On Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is exactly where I go during the bowl season. During college football season, the energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever in these bowl games. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to the fans to help you enjoy these experiences in just a few taps. Open the Game Time app, look at upcoming college football games, and I'm shocked at how cheap some of these bowls are. You can even view the seat before you buy. The zone deals stand out. Pick the section. Game Time picks the seats. You save big. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Game Time. Download it today. LSU will fall apart offensively. They will muster just 13 points in this game. Houston, on the other hand, will score 27. It is a 14-point, 2-touchdown victory for the Big 12. But it'll look even worse because remember the Kansas State LSU game? It'll be about like that. And you'll think, why? Why does the SEC exist? And why do they get to bully us, talk to us like we don't matter in college football? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Not to me, at least. Bowl games. I love it. The SEC hates it. Change it. We need a new format. It's broken. Okay. What if you just sat back and enjoyed college football? What if you just loved it for what it is? But I don't know about that, man. I want to be in the national championship. You're a far cry from that. But luckily you got Lane Kiffin, who has won multiple national championships as a head coach. Oh, the guy who loses the big one. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, that's good. Good luck. Have fun with that. We'll be hanging out with Willie Fritz, who's a more consistent winning coach. You know him, Tulane guy. You know Tulane, remember? The team that made the playoff before LSU did in the 12-team format? I don't know if you remember Tulane. Oh, yeah. Okay. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thank you for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.